Okay, so Robert Chamberlin here is going to talk about his World War II history. So, Dad, tell us what you did, how you joined, all that good stuff.
You want me to answer now?
Yes, go ahead and start.
Okay, well, I was 17 when I enlisted in the Navy. I went to radio school, and from there I went and got my ship in Pearl Harbor, and we sailed out to the Pacific, farther towards Japan.
What year was it?
In 1944, 45.
And what ship were you on?
The ship that I was on was called the USS Nitro, N-I-T-R-O. It was an ammunition ship, Navy ammunition ship. And we took ammo and whatever needed for the war effort to our Navy ships in the islands of Okinawa, Iwo Jima, and others to help them to end the war.
And so, how long were you on the Navy ship?
I was on about a year and a half. I was on the ship.
And then the war ended?
And then the ship was taken to Norfolk, Virginia, and decommissioned and scrapped. The ship was built in the 1920s. It was fairly old and just was too old for the new Navy.
What was life like on the ship?
Well, it was very pleasant on the ship, really, because we had a nice crew. We were lucky in a sense that we wouldn't get only about 25 miles from the invasion islands, so we were fairly safe there. We were surrounded by Navy ships that protect us. But life really wasn't bad. The only thing that was disturbing was the food, and it got kind of bad near the end.
What was it? What kind of food was it?
Well, it was mostly dried food. I mean, we had no fresh milk, obviously, and we did have coffee, but other than that, all the food wasn't that good. And we would wait until we got ships from the U.S. to bring us ammo, and we would go to their ships and have dinners and meals.
So what did you do to pass the time when you weren't working on the ship?
Well, actually, we didn't have much to do on the ship. It really wasn't designed as a ship for fun. But usually we were up on the top deck or whenever sunbathing.
Go ahead.
But I did do a lot of, there was a lot of reading, and I did a lot of reading on the ship, novels, books, and such.
Did you ever get seasick?
Never got seasick. I was very lucky.
Did you see other people get seasick?
We did have people on the ship that did get seasick. Now, it really wasn't in the Pacific so much. It was getting down and starting to go through the Panama Canal, where in that area it was very shallow and very rough. But luckily I didn't get sick.
And didn't you pass your time by writing letters back to that special someone?
Well, I did. I wrote letters back to my wife-to-be, usually about every day or every other day, and got letters from her out also, and that was a nice part of it.
Did you have like regular drills every day that you had to go through?
No, we didn't. Our being a radioman, when drilling or when the time came to prepare for enemy attacks, which it didn't, we were always assigned to the radio room, so we didn't really have much to do. We didn't operate guns or anti-aircraft guns or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. And then, what about, how did you find out that the war was over? What was what was the attitude on the ship then?
Oh, everybody was so happy when the war was over. In fact, we were coming back to the States in 1945 when the war ended with Japan, and we were bringing back 4,000 tons of unexploded ammunition so they could test it to see why it didn't work.
Oh boy.
And the war ended, we unloaded the ammunition at a Navy base, and that was the end of it.
Did you make friends on the ship, people that you kept in contact with?
Oh, I did for a while, but then in a certain length of time we just sort of dropped out and didn't communicate anymore.
That happens. What was like the worst memory you have while you were in the Navy?
I don't know if I can't say if I had any worst memories. The worst thing that bothered me once when we found out that the ammunition ship, the AE-11, blew up in port somewhere in the South Pacific and lost everybody on the ship, of course. It was a little newer ship than ours. We don't know what happened, but it was very sad.
Yeah, scary too, thinking that, you know, an unexplained explosion.
Yes.
Did anyone smoke on the ship?
We could smoke on the ship, providing they weren't loading or unloading ammunition. And when they were doing that, there was no smoking lamp on the whole ship.
Oh my gosh. And then let's fast forward to a marathon that you were running in Chicago. And those sailors in front of you, that's such a great story.
Well, that was very interesting. My last marathon was Chicago, obviously. And I caught up to some sailors. We started talking, and I asked them what ship they were on. They told me that they were on the USS Nitro, but a brand new ship. And I told them I was on the original USS Nitro, built in the 1920s. They couldn't get over it, that they would meet someone from the original ship. It was nice to talk to them and fun.
What year was that?
That was in 1986.
Now, did you have to join the Navy? Did you have to sign up, Dad, or was it voluntary?
Well, I enlisted. It was voluntary. If I hadn't enlisted, I would have been drafted in the Army, and I just assumed I wanted to be in the Navy.
Yeah. So were you in high school or just graduated from high school?
I had just graduated from high school.
What did your mom say? Because your brother joined as well, right?
Yes, he was in the Air Force. He was a pilot in the Army Air Force. And he had been in, total time he was in the service was 5 years, because he went in a year before Pearl Harbor, so then he was there and then all through the war.
Your poor parents, I bet they worried about you boys.
Well, I guess they did, yeah. Yeah.
So when you think back to your experience in the Navy, what memory do you think back to? Anything?
Nothing really stands out. Just that when I got into Pearl Harbor to get on my ship, I had no idea I was getting on an ammunition ship.
Oh, that's crazy.
And when I got on the ship, they told me that was nice of me to come there to volunteer. And I said, well, I really didn't volunteer. They just sent me here. But it was a good ship to be on. It was.
Well, fortunate that nothing happened with all that ammunition,
Yeah.
and that it was the tail end of the war. All right. Anything else?
Really nothing. Certainly wasn't very eventful. Saw some interesting places and islands in the war. And it was kind of fun going through the Panama Canal. But other than that, life wasn't that exciting.
So would you do it all over again? Volunteer to enlist if you had?
Well, if I had to, I would volunteer to be in the Navy, yes. Of all the services, I thought the Navy was the best.